Wow. Hello. Welcome back to Lucy and Corey's Anti-Power Hour. Allegedly the 7th episode of our not quite monthly, but that's the dream chat podcast.
Well, I don't want to be too predictable, and fall into like a formulaic type. That's when fans really abandon the things that they love, I think.
That's true. That's why we should have gone backwards and started with something innocuous. But I like to end on a non-political thing. In my podcast many years ago, which you were on occasionally.
Oh.
Politics for People Who Hate Politics, which
I was a wee lad.
Someone stole for a book title. I used to always
really?
want to... Yes, they did. I used to always want to end with something non-political to leave the people on a good note. Yeah, Jesse Walker texted me a photo of a book called Politics for People Who Hate Politics.
That's crazy.
And I was both outraged and vindicated. A cat just went by.
We should have them on.
That's true. And be
as a fellow people who hates politics.
Yeah, but the subtitle was it was something about talking to your shitty friends and family who have bad political views, which is not the same vibe that I was going for.
Oh, so we're the shitty friends and family who hate politics?
I'm not sure.
In the book, or
it didn't seem like my vibe was politics is a nightmare upon all of us. Let's chat about that. So I am horrible at titles, so the fact that someone used that title again.
Oh, I don't think you're horrible. I always thought that was a great title. I enjoyed being on that show, the wee lad that I was. I think they're still online, some of them.
They are, yeah.
People can see our insights from nearly a decade ago.
Because please don't say that.
Oh, sorry. Of course.
Because I'm very good at being not successful. I'm pretty sure I quit that podcast on the cusp of everyone on Earth getting a podcast because I'm a genius.
Yeah, I guess that was in that era where they were just starting, and now it's back around, and now we've got our own podcast. Who would have thunk it?
If I see a book called Anti-Power Hour, I'm gonna get real mad.
Oh,
unless
damn.
we wrote it.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's forget the podcast. Let's just write a book called Anti-Power Hour.
I think we'd write a really good book.
Yeah, it could be like a comic book, so it could be easier.
I think we need an illustrator for that.
And we could draw us. I can draw.
Can you?
Well, I mean, not expertly.
In my imagination, I'm a great cartoonist, but
I'm so many things in my imagination. It's such a great place.
It is a great place.
I like to reside there. Well, it's a new year, new round of shows. Well, for some ways of determining when years begin and end.
That's true.
So new year, new us in some ways. Huh?
This really makes me want to
maybe
Degrassi. There's a good Degrassi gif about new look, new year, new page. But that's not
new look, new year, new page. I never watched that show. I've obviously heard of it.
It certainly is Canadian. By the way,
I've never actually been to Canada.
I found this mug. We were discussing this before. I found this mug in a Canadian thrift store for 50 cents. Not like some sort of disturbing ANCAP conference or something where you might see this slogan, which is both accurate yet used for, well...
Did you have to pay tax on the purchase?
I guess I did.
Because that's a bummer. I mean, that's kind of...
50 cents, though. You know what? I can splurge.
That's like a line in a lot of Morissette song, Ironic.
So it's not...
Paid tax on the taxation is theft mug.
Wait, is the word ANCAP a good segue into El
Yeah,
Presidente?
I mean, segues are whatever you make of them. Anything could be segue into another topic, I think, if you try and set your mind to it.
Well, there are things I actually know way more about than the new ANCAP president of
that is a good segue.
It was, if I had remembered.
You actually caught me off guard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we're drinking at the same time.
We are drinking.
Not alcohol. No, this is just good old fashioned H2O.
Beautiful.
And are you drinking like the tears of ANCOMs in that mug?
Of lib tears, is it supposed to be?
Lib tears.
Yeah. woke tears, maybe. That's probably the
Woke
best.
tears.
That's the most topical tears to drink. Yeah,
The most topical tears to drink.
Yes.
I need a good ranking, a good list of. There could be a tier of the year too. Like there's person of the year, there's tier of the year, and it's like whoever person's tears people most want to drink. Not an individual. Well, it could be an individual person, but not necessarily.
There was also and for a while there was like a mainstream feminist bloggy thing and like male tears, which I always thought was
Sure, yeah. Male tears,
limited.
the tears of males.
Do I want?
And
well, you know what? Maybe they want male tears because men are socialized and pressured into not crying because of the patriarchy. Ergo, male tears is not like to mock the men, but to be like, you can cry, men. I will drink your tears because the patriarchy is
sure. Oh, I thought it was it was tears sent through the mail, like the postal service, mail tears, like MIL tears, MAAIL. Can't spell.
Wow, that's a great start. We could talk about Lysander Spooner instead because he's better than.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Spooner tears. Okay, can you? I don't think you should yell at our fans just because we're so off track.
What about? I can't even say his last name, and I am doing Duolingo Spanish. We got a double L. Got a double L. Does that mean it's Mie?
I barely have a grasp on the English language.
L. Wow.
Let alone.
All right, because truly, I haven't.
We could just call him ANCAP president.
I mean, that's what I was trying to do. Is there
or Captain ANCAP? Doesn't he like to? Didn't he identify as that superhero?
That literally is true. That's not even
Captain
hyperbole.
No, nothing is hyperbole. That's an old world concept. That went out of date in the 2010s. It went out of fashion as a term and a concept. Did you not catch up on that?
Yeah, I noticed that.
Sorry, that was a little hyperbolic, maybe, but
stop that. Is there?
Well, did you vote for him? For Captain
I live
ANCAP?
Here in America, and South America is clearly a different continent.
Well, I thought it was just south of what you live in America, and it's south, so you could.
Yeah. Even when I go to Canada and people are like, "Oh, where are you from?" I'll say the States because I want to say America, and then I realize that actually sounds really weird.
I agree. I always prefer, United States.
There's a lot of more shorthand that is vaguely rude and confusing in the world. So,
well, it's nice for you to think about the microaggressions against Canadians that you may be perpetrating.
Technically, I was doing that as much as...
Are you drinking your own tears in the mug? Your own woke tears? You woke pro-Canadian?
Yeah. My grandmother was born in Canada, so...
She was?
I have woke Canadian blood running through me.
So you're 1/4 Canadian?
If that was a thing. I have literally said that, so yes.
If that was a thing... Yeah, of course it's a thing. You just described... the very idea.
Determined to not talk about anything depressing.
Well, no, not at all. I mean, it's pretty interesting. Hopefully, he does some good things. Maybe some good things already occurring. Maybe some bad things. Maybe some associating the name libertarianism with less than favorable connotations, but not necessarily new connotations for American libertarians either. So.
I mean, that is true. Maybe I should think it's not a new association among the uncharitable and accurate both. My immediate reaction was pessimism because how many fucking Pinochet memes have you seen in your internet life?
And I'm still more pessimistic than not, I would say. But especially because the scale, it's like, Now this is viewed as this is a natural experiment for these ideas, and that's not what it is. It depends on what he gets done. Depends on like how he thinks libertarian ideas apply in certain situations and like topics. And clearly, he doesn't seem very libertarian on like defense spending,
the entirety of all
or
social
immigration
issues. Literally, all I saw was banking. Change experiments may be good. Not.
Well, he feels very, in substance, very similar to Reagan to me. Some some surface level deregulations, which may or not be may be really great. And it's actually ironic though, because his big deregulation is the airlines, and that was actually Carter, and a great
It
thing Carter
was.
did. So it's funny I just said made the Reagan, but I've been thinking he, and like you said, he's socially not libertarian at all, and not libertarian on defense. But you get good stuff on taxes and some regulations, and that's enough to make people think he's super libertarian.
I mean, libertarianism now, apparently. I've fully joined team as a libertarian. I can only trash libertarians in despair. As long as my taxes are lower, if there's a death squad of people killing all minorities, well, my taxes are lower, aren't they? And maybe even less than that. I don't think Ronald Reagan was a net good at all.
No, I don't think so.
He could have, he could have been worse on a couple things. Occasionally, I
yes,
paradoxically, self-awarely reference the fact that Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall is a lot better of a speech than build a wall because I'm a fucking xenophobe. I mean, there's nothing as rhetoric that's a trillion times more inspiring. And that transition is a fabulous example of the death of the even bushier type of yay freedom type of rhetoric. But then I'm just arguing that it's sort of the same thing. It's the same difference much of the time. So, who cares?
Oh, sure. Conservatives now in America are much more consciously anti-libertarian, I would say. So the minor things in which Reagan was libertarian on or had some libertarian impulses on aren't even shared by conservatives anymore.
The fucking Paleos won. Who would have expected in 1992?
The Paleos won.
When I was like 5 and wasn't paying attention, blissfully ignorant. That must have been cool.
I was paying attention. I wasn't born yet, but I was.
I know.
Paying attention.
A small child.
Because you got to pay attention.
Wait, before you're born?
Well, in general.
One of my first political memories is my dad, who was a journalist,
Let's hear it.
on these horrible, cardboard, caricature masks of Bush, Clinton, and Ross Perot. And he was like, okay, you each get one. And I got Ross Perot.
You each get one? What do you mean? Like they're gifts for you and your siblings?
Well, anything he would bring home would be something weird that showed up at the newspaper where he would work at that time. So I'm going to assume, I don't remember.
Huh. Okay.
But
okay. Do you still have them?
One of them used to be on my dad's office wall. So surely they're around here somewhere. That was very
We got to break them out. we got to throw back.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's the talk that fucking RFK Jr. will be the Ross Perot of this new nightmare.
That's a lot of words. That's a whole different can of worms to get into.
Maybe in honor of his commitment to truth, he should get Sirhan Sirhan to be his VP. Because Sirhan didn't kill his dad. It was some sort of MK Ultra plot, apparently.
I have seen that strange orbit of libertarians who seem sympathetic or actively supportive of RFK. And if there's and from what I understand, which, well, it's very little in general, but from what I know about RFK's actual policies, it's the most conspiracy-headed, abandoning of your actual ideological commitments I've ever seen. Maybe I shouldn't be surprised that some libertarians are doing that because conspiracy is so big amongst libertarians. But
I mean, not to go full Kennedy defense, which is a classic conspiracy thing, because especially JFK, he must have been about to abolish the CIA, and then they got him. But yeah. I don't even fucking think RFK Jr. gets to be called RFK, because his dad was kind of a creep who seems to have actually gotten better on some issues. He was a fucking wiretapping attorney general, and then after a while he was like, gee, maybe I should be a little less bad. No, but I remember last year I think we discussed how I mentioned how Robert Kennedy Jr.'s policy, his campaign website, all the policy shit, almost all of it looked really good, and the word vaccine was not on there. But he just hired a man with the ridiculous name of Del Bigtree to be his campaign guy. Del Bigtree likes to hang out with Andrew Wakefield, who is no longer a medical doctor because he is the author of the nonsense debunked vaccine autism study. So,
Okay.
Robert, I don't hate all vaccines. Kennedy is truly bullshit.
Yeah, I
just,
do.
He just tweeted a meme that wasn't even factual in its content about SSRI antidepressants causing mass shootings. And he was like, "Oh, we should look into."
Oh, he's on that train.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
so,
don't, because he seems terrible on guns. I do remember our discussion last year, so maybe I had found out more things about his policies, or just more pessimistic now. But yeah, that's been disappointing to see even really any support for that. But not really surprising, unfortunately.
honestly, the only good Kennedy now is the one brother who is interested in paroling Sirhan, but isn't necessarily a conspiracy freak. That guy I respect, because he's actually seems to be about rehabilitation and stuff.
Okay. What about Kennedy? You know, the host from TV.
As far as I know, she's not related to that clan, but
No, but you're like, is she one? Is she also a good? What about my friend Mike Kennedy? I have a good friend named Mike Kennedy, and he's a really solid guy. He's a really great guy. Shout out to Mike.
You know, I think that my paternal grandmother's mother's unmarried name might have been Kennedy. Ergo, I'm related to American royalty, so you should all respect me.
Yeah. And all the presidents are all related, and all related to like old, like, you know, it all goes back to like Camelot and all that stuff.
You know, the first Camelot.
So you're related to like all of the significant figures in history.
Man, you know, as much as John Quincy Adams was less bad than average, he really started off an unfortunate habit of like, Papa was president, so I'm gonna be president sort of vibes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It took me a second. I had no idea where you were going. I was like, John Quincy Adams, what the fuck is Lucy bringing up to this? I was like, I need to look up John Quincy Adams.
I say a lot of things.
What were his policies?
I think I spent my entire Christmas vacation like opening 50 Wikipedia tabs. A lot of journeys.
Well, who didn't?
I don't know. People who aren't living like I'm living, my friend.
People who are living the unexamined life. That's who. People who are living the Wikipedia-less life.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so I'm sorry, I just have to have instinctual pessimism about
Captain ANCAP.
Yeah, and ANCAPs in general. There's like 3.5 of them that might be okay at this point.
A lot of the ones in academia do interesting stuff, and they don't as loudly identify with that term, nor do they indulge in the absurdity of, I would say, the average internet ANCAP you run across on social media or on forums or something. But, you know, various economists and stuff who would probably fall into that category and are still interesting.
Yeah.
But the movement at large, like popular in terms of its popular sport,
and like a paleo brand of ANCAP paleo type thing took over the Libertarian Party. And boy, did I stop giving them my money. And I'm not alone. So
that's the problem. I mean, ANCAP almost became synonymous with paleo, a paleo version of ANCAP, and that's the people I'm talking, which isn't always been the case at all. Wasn't originally, still isn't entirely. Many of the people I was referencing aren't remotely, you know.
I mean, I know some of the listeners or watchers might very well be writhing in agony at the capitalist part of the term, but there's always people who can be less bad who are using the terms, you know, so.
Oh, sure, and there's good faith disagreements between capitalists and anti-capitalists, and
there's team like
I'm
both are beside the point as terminology and not really.
Yeah, I'm not straightforwardly in either of those camps because although I find it useful, the conceptual framework of certain kinds of anti-capitalism, but most anti-capitalists, you know, conflate capitalism with markets as well, so they're anti-market, and that's far from my views.
Yeah.
So
Actually, it just occurs to me that I think that's comparable to pro or anti-democracy, in the sense that being thoughtlessly pro-democracy, you can, majoritarianism. Oh, 51% say we get to kick you in the face. But then, of course, anti-democracy people invariably turn to the worst sorts of people. And
yeah,
you know how that went, but it's frustrating because
I've heard.
I don't know. I remember like Prop 8 in California is my favorite example. Like, let's all vote to like divorce gay people. Oh, we voted. So
Yeah.
like,
Well, I think it's always compared to what with to questions of democracy and generally more procedural justice and things like that. Like,
it's an eternal question for many contexts is compared to what.
Yeah, it's just and too many who oppose it, favor something much worse, like some more concentrated power, monarchy, or some more authoritarian system.
Once again, when I heard someone describe Hans Hermann Hoppe's whole anti-democracy thing, paraphrased on a street corner at like 2 a.m. by some dude, I was like, what an interesting thought experiment. I see the idea that democracy is particularly dangerous because the legitimacy is like ingrained in each and every one of us. What an interesting abstract. And then people were like, no, we're actually monarchists because it's better. And I was like, oh, I thought we were just making a point. No, we want a king. Okay.
Yeah, it's frustrating to see Hoppians like I feel like react defensively to people who talk about Hoppe being pro monarchy, because he's still pro some other hypothetical and in their eyes anarchist system over monarchy, but he's for monarchy over democracy.
Yeah.
So that's the point people are making. It's not necessarily. It's still a
And some
point in need of defense and doesn't have good defense.
Some affiliated people also are literally pro-monarchy. I think some of the what we used to call dark enlightenment type.
Oh, sure, yeah,
dumbasses.
sure.
Yeah.
No, I mean, yeah, it's. I mean, democracy is still pretty popular, but yeah, you get more of these fringe rejections of it, and too many libertarians so easily are like, I don't know, let's make allies with people because of this surface level rhetorical similarity, even though their anti-democracy is nothing like a libertarian who supports total anarchism and freedom for everyone, as opposed to democratic government.
Yep. I forget what I was going to say. It was probably something about dunking on Hoppe again. You can't be an immigration hawk and be a libertarian. It's not libertarian.
Yeah, it's
people who aren't listening to this right now. There's a guy I follow who maybe uses the term market anarchist to describe himself at this point, but he likes to break out the we can't have open borders until we get rid of the welfare state. Okay, you can't have any children until we reduce the government by what percent? Like, what is the difference? Which is true. I mean,
yeah, I think the libertarian case for open borders is I try to really appreciate both sides of different arguments. I think in certain contexts, and I've really I've talked to many identified libertarians who oppose open borders, and my conclusions are just the twists and turns you have to go through, the mental gymnastics you have to go through. It's hard to take in good faith sometimes. It's challenging of that wish to kind of to argue in good faith constantly, because it's so implausible. It's just so implausible. Like you said, it applies to just children born here, and also has the bizarre implication of hinging your right to be free from state violence on if you are a net taxpayer or net tax receiver in their terminology, which means if you evade taxes and so much so that you end up becoming a net. That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
It makes no sense. It's saying that if you evade too much taxes, then you also should be. It's regardless of immigration. It's just if you don't pay enough in taxes, then the state can deport you.
And
it's a
didn't we,
cartoonishly anti-libertarian view.
Yes, it is. I thought we were in favor of not paying tax. No, just
Right.
when they're Mexican. Okay. I mean,
that's why it's so difficult.
Always comes back to that. The nicest version is that it's an absurdly nationalistic viewpoint where people outside of the boundary of this nation state are of pretty much no consequence. And that's not libertarian or anarchist either. So nice try.
It's just
people.
It's not even.
Biden has
it's not even.
Borders.
Obviously, anarchists and libertarians should think rights apply to everyone equally, no matter what or where. But even that, it's not even constitutionalist. I mean, before I was an anarchist, it was very clear to me the Constitution doesn't say only Americans have rights.
And there are, there's been rulings that back that up. I offhand I don't remember, but this has come up in American jurisprudence, I think.
Yeah, no, it's just frustrating and really a despicable view to just to have this view that people of not of your country have no rights. I mean, I can't. It's so. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, legitimately, the current Libertarian Party and its shittiness might have actually taught me the importance of solidarity, which I associate with more of a social anarchist or even Marxist type of shit. I was like, I don't really understand this term exactly. And then when the new LP started tweeting like, oh, Putin's not your enemy, Xi's not your enemy.
Oh yeah,
he's in DC, and I was like,
what the hell is that?
What the fuck? First, do you not think people in those countries have like VPNs or what all the shenanigans to get around? Do you think they couldn't be reading that? Regardless, how hard is it to say, as an American, the American government affects me more and has a powerful effect on the world, without saying various dictators in other countries who are oppressing other people who are exactly as human as I am are not my enemy. What is that?
And then they'll, rightfully focus on dictator or just governments and other leaders who are allies of the United States. This is really prominent with what's happening in Israel. Mm-hmm. And most of these folks are, I think, properly critical of Israel. But they, by that logic, I shouldn't care.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I mean, Netanyahu isn't my enemy either.
Yeah.
And I guess they would say, oh, well, he is because we're subsidizing him, so some portion of your taxes pay for that. And my thought is, well, one, these people always totally overestimate how much taxes go to foreign aid and things like that. So I think even necessarily opposing militarism and weapons dealing and things like that, we need to put it in proportion or perspective as well, and shouldn't indulge more conspiratorial viewpoints that lead people to think the United States government is in the hands of a foreign cabal, perhaps Jewish.
Which a couple steps into full-on anti-Semitism.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And they would say, fine. So I would say, one, fine. The portion of my tax that go to Netanyahu, fine. Make him my enemy in that regard, fine. But then why do you also focus on how many Palestinians they're murdering? That the Israeli government is murdering, because by that standard, that isn't part of that shouldn't go to. But it's obviously good to have solidarity with victims of authoritarianism abroad, no matter who is doing the bombing. So why can't we apply that consistently?
Because horseshoe theory, because paleos became tankies became paleos, and yes, people think those terms are meaningless now, but people who don't have an overriding principle, it's a reaction to, is the U.S. involved in some capacity? Then the other side is a hero. They're for freedom, and they're not a dictator, and they're not anything like that. Yeah,
it's a whole ecosystem of funneling that view in a supposedly nonpartisan way, to where I think you get paleos and tankies and everyone who's in those spheres and orbits having their anti-war and anti-American imperialism views totally distorted into defense of non-American imperialism.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking
Mm-hmm.
about libertarian presidents ruining libertarianism, how about, tanky paleo anti-war types ruining anti-war stuff? Because it doesn't
Yes.
count, guys. It
Yes,
just
it's
doesn't.
it's an old problem.
I
Um,
know, yeah.
and this is where, and maybe this is a good segue to something else you wanted to talk, because this is in many ways, bound up and part of the story of the origins of Holocaust denialism, because it'd be mighty convenient if the Holocaust wasn't and did happening at the time, and then didn't happen, um, because that makes it so much easier to oppose a war and an American involvement in war. It's so much easier just to just deny and downplay the evils of another government, and the
On
Holocaust denial is the ultimate pinnacle of that.
on the other hand, if you want to dunk on the United States, the Holocaust can easily be used as a vehicle. The United States, Congress voted on letting in, I believe, 20,000 orphaned or, didn't have their parents with them, Jewish children, and they voted against it because of
Yeah,
Bolshevism. The
yeah,
St. Louis was not let into the United States because I always forget his name. There's a particular raving anti-Semite in FDR's cabinet who was like, "I'm gonna don't you listen to Eleanor? Like, I'm gonna make sure you don't get nominated in 40 if you let them in."
yeah,
The entire world dropped the ball. The
yeah,
entire world people knew way more than I initially sort of got the message that they knew initially. Like everyone got, "Oh my god, they were mistreating the Jews the whole time." Like the precise scope, okay, no, but people knew a lot because they talked
yeah,
about it. Gee, the Nazis are
yeah,
pretty harsh on Jews. Should we put them in Alaska? Should we put them somewhere in Africa? I feel like they thought about it and then they just twiddled their thumbs and decided that a good compromise was doing as much civilian city bombing as the Nazis.
right, yeah,
And then
yeah,
once we beat them, we'll be like, "Oh,
yeah.
man, you want to dunk in the U.S. Via World War II? I promise it can be done." Um,
Yeah, there's no shortage, and there's no, and the kind of, yeah, it makes it all the more infuriating, to feel the need. I think people, you want history to have some side you can just kind of unambiguously take,
well,
and kind of be vindicated that way, and it feels good.
you can unambiguously be happy that the Nazis lost. That's for fucking sure.
Yeah,
But
sure. But people want, to say America didn't really do anything, or just didn't do much wrong in the process of that, and it's like, well, no, they did.
that's laughable. I mean, yeah,
But that, sure, I agree, it's laughable, but I think people are really tempted, and it's hard. And when you see the evils of the non-American side, then you get all the more tempted, and then that's why then the other side wants to downplay those evils, and it's kind of this vicious cycle.
it's a circular reasoning too, because we did it. It had to have been done in order to beat the Nazis. Everything that was done had to have been done, which is
Yeah,
very convenient for no
yeah,
moral. The Nazis kind of kicked off things, including during the Spanish Civil War, and by the end of the war, everybody was bombing every city with almost no restriction. And
yeah,
the idea that it was some moral horror was actually discussed in the beginnings of World War II and kind of forgotten about, at least, by the time I started paying attention, and getting through Korea and Vietnam. And, like, yeah, there were some qualms during Vietnam, but, like,
hmm,
at some point, everybody accepted that was conceivably acceptable, you know? Like now,
sure, yeah,
how about you
yes,
never get to bomb dense urban areas, no matter what
yeah,
anything else? How about you just don't? How about that?
yeah,
But that's naive and childish somehow.
right,
I
yeah.
mean,
This is what. Oh, go ahead.
oh no, I'm just ranting. I'm just
Oh no, I enjoy it. I enjoy the Lucy rants. Although I did try to segue into, you kind of blocked the segue with your rant, but segue
oh,
into that.
we can go back. We can do whatever we want. Darn it. Um, no,
Okay,
specifically,
well then share with the class
I
the
will
the
share with the class.
depressing, apparently depressing factoid.
It is depressing, and with a poll, you can always find hope that it's not as
Well, that's what.
depressing as
Yeah,
people think. The Economist headline is 1 in 5 young Americans thinks the Holocaust is a myth, which sounds real bad, obviously. And it's mostly paywalled. There's a little graph, and agreeing with the Holocaust has been exaggerated in quotes, or the Holocaust is a myth in quotes. And the number of 18 to 29-year-olds is, 20 to 24%. And once you get down to 65 plus, for once the boomers are winning. Because the boomers, their parents were like, yeah, I remember that,
Yeah. I don't know how to feel about this, because I'm tempted to say that's counterintuitively large, and even just anecdotally based on my peer group, but obviously it's bias. So I do wonder about the question and the wording and the nature of all that. You always got to wonder with polls. People don't want to sound dumb answering a poll. Maybe they don't know what it means, but at the same time, I think people are too, especially lately. I think especially people who are rightly critical of Israel are too quick to downplay anti-Semitism, or object to complaining about it or something. At least complaining about it without a big asterisk that you don't support Israel, even if you don't talk about Israel in your comment. And I've been there the past few months with those kinds of discussions, and it's frustrating. But this does strangely tie into the kind of growing and emerging narrative that young people, maybe through social media and things like TikTok, are somehow being massively duped and kind of indoctrinated into broadly anti-Semitism and Holocaust denial specifically, and all these things. And that's a really mighty convenient narrative that gets pushed by a lot of pro-Israel people. And I think it's easy to kind of to play it up, maybe, because that's a mighty good argument for making people sympathetic to Israel, I suppose, in some way. Although I don't think that would be the real logical conclusion of it, obviously. So I don't know what to make of stuff like that. It's kind of depressing. Maybe there's always better things to do in terms of educating people on things. I don't know.
Well, I mean, as I was homeschooled, so all I did, my entire K through 12 education was reading history books, and they were frequently about World War II. So I have absolutely no good sense of how people learn history in public schools.
Yeah, I mean, you got more history than average for sure. I learned about the Holocaust in school. There's everything else is let's spend a few weeks on major historical events, and then eventually you get to the Holocaust, probably in your American history class in middle school, I would say. So, and there's no shortage of media and movies and books and things, but we live in such a fractured media ecosystem, and you can really tailor the channels of information that are zooming into your pocket every second of the day. So I don't know, people, I mean, and I've seen it up close. I've seen people and loved ones go down the path of coming out with some kind of Holocaust denialism. And that obviously is a broad, like you said at the beginning, there's, do you think it's a myth? And also, do you think it's exaggerated? And
yeah, that's the way you can tell yourself you're being the reasonable, less.
Yeah, I mean, most self-identified Holocaust denialists do not remotely claim that no Jews died at the hands of the Nazis. Because it's more clearly ludicrous.
Yeah,
it's more patently ludicrous. So it's just the claim. Well, it was just 1 or 2 million.
It wasn't intentional. There weren't gas chambers.
Yeah, there's issues of intentionality involved.
I mean, they say the same things. It's not new because it started fairly early after World War II, and the same the same statements are used, and it's just as nonsense as it was back then.
Yeah, I wonder why, if it is kind of making a comeback with younger people. Maybe cynically, I could say, Israel gives us Jews kind of a bad name.
Oh dear.
but then I think it's also on people who like it's despicably anti-Semitic to take whatever Israel does and somehow think that it remotely has to do with other Jews. I have nothing to do with Israel, for instance.
You sure
Never been there. So it's kind of, there's these different lines of thought, I guess, in my head on that topic.
I mean, I think you should be entirely sympathetic to the mindset that was behind the founding of Israel. The reason that it occurred, the world completely dropping the ball and not helping people, the couple thousand years of being generally oppressed, kicked around, and kicked out of countries. Like, of course it happened. And you should know that when you start to critique it, and you should know it in general.
I do think
there's no conflict there. There's no
no. There isn't. It's a false dichotomy to. But I also would say, Israel did pop up out of nowhere in 48, and there's the decades before that of ideology and of smaller scale settlements and situations. And I think that there is some really bad colonialist type stuff in a lot of Zionism as an ideology. So I think it's important not to forget that stuff either. But yes, it probably wouldn't have happened without the Holocaust and all of the preceding oppression of Jews for centuries all throughout.
And there's obviously a long history of certain types of Orthodox Jews tend to be anti-Zionist. I know sometimes.
Yes, there's such reductionism with this stuff, but even in Israel itself, they view no, this sort of religious or ethno-state thing goes against our religion, and obviously that's an admirable stance to take there.
I know of at least one survivor of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising who was vehemently anti-Zionist and became vehemently pro-Palestinian, which is fascinating because, I mean, really try to pull...
Sure.
A survivor of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising is an anti-Semite, obviously. Like, you can't...
Right,
can't
yeah.
do it, guys.
It's... Yeah.
And of late, the, what are they called? Is it Never Again? I forget exactly, but there's a group, a lot of Jewish people have been doing some really good getting arrested protesting of current events with the Palestinian ethnic cleansing that is happening right now.
Yeah.
So I mean, you don't need to make these clarifications, but it's okay to do so because
the
anti-Semite of your dreams is out there, surely, And because
what?
I was gonna say the straw anti-Semite.
I just want that out of context. Like,
there's
the
so
anti-Semite of your dreams is out there, Cory.
I accidentally invented a Nazi dating website with my words. I would like to take that back.
That's fantastic.
As someone named Steigerwald, I would like to take that back. So, the 2 times I ever wrote about Nazis, sort of specifically, I got a minor swarm of them on Twitter who were calling me Jewish.
I think I remember that.
Which I'm not, which was fascinating because it's one of those things where you're like, I guess I am not Jewish, but I'm not going to clarify to Nazis who are calling me that like it's an insult.
Yeah.
I was like,
no, I swear I'm not.
Yeah, like,
you guys got the wrong guy.
I have been called other things by trolls, and they're never anything bad. They're never more like, you're trans, you're a man, you're ugly, you're Jewish, like whatever. Like none of those things are a moral failing.
Yes.
Whereas you are a Nazi in that.
Yeah. Case. Yeah, isn't that weird? Their attacks are just. Well.
But but back to the kids today. Have you ever heard of the conspiracy theory / meme amongst teens that Helen Keller did not exist?
Actually, no.
Okay, well, lucky you.
Well, I've never seen or heard Helen Keller.
I mean, ergo.
So, and she's never seen or heard me.
That's now it just sounds like a cheap shot.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, Helen Keller.
But I mean, like, that's the level of historical.
You're serious. You're serious.
Yeah.
I don't understand the motivation.
Like many a meme like that, I think it was half ironic, half sincere, spreading about.
Isn't that how they all start?
I have a friend. Yes, flat Earth there's a huge thing with flat Earth starting ironic and then turning into sincere.
Yeah.
But I have a friend who teaches high school math who confirms that this is a real conspiracy theory, and I forgot exactly where it started, but it's disturbing and it's super ableist because the implication is that somebody who was deaf and blind could not have done anything impressive, especially in the 19th century. That's the implication.
That's interesting.
It must be made up. And
That's so outlandish. I've never heard of this.
So is that
okay.
a general also sentiment? People have always been insane in certain ways. Misinformation has always flourished, but just a general disbelief in history maybe is not just about the Holocaust or anti-Semitism.
Sure.
It's also
sure.
I don't know, teens are idiots. Teens want to be weird and subvert something, or disagree with older people or something. But also there is the sinister. There's like the ableism, like, and the sense of unreality about the past. Like, I can't imagine that. So it's a good way to put it. Have occurred.
That's so strange. I mean, there's so many conspiracy. I mean, like you said, it's nothing new. I mean, you mentioned Jesse Walker. He has a great book on conspiracies going all the way back to, I think, kind of the founding era of the United States.
I should reread that. And
how embedded conspiracies have been throughout. So it's easy to fearmonger, I think, about conspiracies, which is kind of ironic, because they've always been around. Yes. But yeah, that's usually it's like I can see the kind of motivation for a given conspiracy, like, oh, like this evil is too unbelievable. I feel like a lot of the Holocaust denial comes from that. I feel like anti-Semitism sometimes comes at the end of the train of thought, but they begin with thinking, there couldn't possibly be something that bad. People can possibly have done something so despicable. There must be some other thing going on.
I imagine that was what kids, my mom, watching a documentary in high school in the 70s about the Holocaust, and she remembers multiple people saying, like, that's not real, that couldn't happen, and like the teacher was upset about it. And I have to think that in that context, especially in the 70s when you couldn't find any horrible photo by Google, just like the sheer, no, there's no way. How could anyone have done that? Like, sure. That could be the most guileless, least ideological version of that couldn't have occurred.
Yeah,
that I could
imagine. That's fair. And it's just unfortunate that if you start with that belief and then you're thinking and then you're looking for, okay, well, how was it exaggerated or made up? Then you invariably end, that line of thought terminates in anti-Semitism. It's not like it maybe it didn't begin there, but it ends there. There's no other way to really, in practice, totally dismiss Jewish voices and perspectives and victims from, without being anti-Semitic.
Attempted to make everything equal, which is the bad version of what I was saying earlier about, Allied atrocities. If you get rid of the intentionality, the genocidal intentionality of the Nazis, then everybody was nasty during World War II, and like it wasn't great for anybody. So, if you also, there's no document where Hitler was like, I, Hitler, think we should,
of course,
kill all, like, best wishes, Hitler. That doesn't exist, which has led to insane white knighting for Hitler, where it was like, poor little Hitler didn't even know it was happening.
Yes, and
the weirdest explanation for that you could imagine. But
unfortunately, too, I think these folks kind of weaponize, because in my understanding is, in the historical community and in the literature, there is a real and significant and interesting debate between intentionalists and functionalists. And maybe it's understood more as a spectrum. To what degree was there conscious intention top down versus bureaucracy that was built and then functioned, independent of any single person, manipulating it all? And so
it was all that, baby.
I think it's weaponized to then downplay and apologize, as if there was no intention at all.
And there aren't that
as
many,
if it was a mere accident,
pure sadists in the world. Like, apologies to lunatic pessimist conservatives like Jordan Peterson, but we wouldn't all thrive and enjoy being a concentration camp guard.
Mm-hmm.
Most of us are not Sophie Scholl or Miep Gies, who hid Anne Frank's family. Apologies for not knowing how to say her name. Most of us would, I imagine, would put our heads down, would perhaps participate in atrocities without having a swell time, because we would be all about protecting ourselves and our immediate family, which is understandable, if not, the ideal human behavior. It's not a huge percentage of people who would be reveling in that position at all. That's an absurd, disturbingly pessimistic viewpoint.
And I think it depends too. These conversations always take people as these static entities. I mean, the people who were the concentration camp guards, they weren't birthed with the capacity necessarily to do that. Through what process were they corrupted? Was their morality kind of degraded to where that they resigned themselves to that? People change.
There's also, the tangential, disturbing question of whether any sort of empathyless people are actually born, which we don't really know. But most serial killers you've ever heard of were horribly abused and/or had a head injury in childhood. We can track how people actually lose their empathy sometimes, even if we're not entirely sure. So I would say a few people were like, I've been waiting my whole life to be a monster. But a whole lot more people were young. They were forced to go into Hitler Youth. They were, there was a chaotic pageantry of meaning and spectacle, and our parents are into it, and everyone's it's just this big thing, and then suddenly they're committing atrocities. That is how humans can be taught.
No, it's a fascinating discussion, I think, and this is part of why I can't remotely get behind people who complain about Jojo Rabbit for this. Have you seen that?
I haven't still. Which is
okay.
Dumb, yeah.
Well, without spoiling anything, it's just because I love the movie, but it's about it's more from the perspective of a kid being indoctrinated into Hitler Youth, and I think it's a real people object to sympathizing with or humanizing the Nazis, and I think that's ridiculous. Nazis were human.
I know.
I think that's the mistake to make, to dehumanize Nazis, because then you can't understand it. You're just wrong, and you're missing something about humanity. If anything, that's the perverse origin of the denial of the Holocaust that we were saying. Humans aren't capable of something like that, right? Are we? Are they? So
that's the nicest version of it, of course. Again.
So yeah, it's but Jojo Rabbit talks about gets into it from the perspective of it's a cult. And it's this indoctrination, and it's this set of beliefs, and it's just a very interesting exploration, I think, to an important and deep question. I see no reason. I think Holocaust stories are fascinating from the perspective of both victims and the people who perpetrated them. It doesn't mean I have to not have sympathy for the victims, or I have to have undue sympathy for the perpetrators. Art is good for exploring these things.
I don't have sympathy for, SS members and stuff, but there were, random masses drafted and put into miserable circumstances.
And this movie in particular is from a child,
Mm-hmm. I've seen people in documentaries talk about what it was like, and the pageantry and the, the spectacle of it all. If you're 8 years old and stuff, and especially if your parents are also caught up in it, having much less excuse. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Be the bravest 8-year-old, of all time? Probably not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right.
But yeah, I should probably watch that. I have heard.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
People learn too much about the Holocaust via fictional things, including The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, which sounds terrible to me, and is also fiction. And I don't think that's.
Yeah, I've never read it, or I'm pretty sure I've never read it, but I've read the criticisms. I've talked about it. And there's better and worse ways of depicting things, but I think fiction is so powerful, and in some ways can be more accessible than to children. It depends. It's not everyone. You're a total history nerd from birth, apparently, but I definitely can, at least for myself. Uh, in a way, reading facts on the page can encourage less empathy compared to I'm reading a story from the perspective of someone. And then there's also blurring of the lines. A story like Mouse is based on his history, based on his family, based on stories his dad told him. But surely, there's stuff, it's a spectrum, I guess.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. I mean, I wouldn't know the perfect place to start. I imagine different people would be more affected by different, simply what teachers are trying to do,
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Different ways of learning and stuff. But oh my gosh, I had something about the kids today.
The youths.
Okay, so I hate to have a caveat about recommending a book where I have to say that the person has been tweeting batshit crazy, terrible things about Gaza. But Michael Shermer, I used to confidently recommend his book, co-authored about Holocaust denial, before I read his insane fucking tweets. But in the past, me would say that it's a phenomenally good book that explains Holocaust denial and also explains how we know the Holocaust happened and how we know anything happened. And it talks about things like the things that people, assuming that they're, pure as the driven snow and are just trying to find the truth, they will say things like, oh, the number of dead at Auschwitz, people thought it was 1.5 million, and then at some point it was lowered to 750,000 or something. And they take that as a sign that something has been lied about, when it's literally the opposite. It's
it is
adjustment.
Yeah.
Or people having different, experiences is somehow proof that it's a lie. Whereas if everyone's experience was uniform, that would be a lot stranger, wouldn't it?
Yeah. No, at some points people looking for discrepancies, that's obviously absurd. Also, memories fail us, especially memories at times of probably the most stress that anyone in history has ever endured, living in a concentration camp.
It's just shocking that, again, people who would never, be a Holocaust denier, not to be a gee whiz journalism student, but I learned things about sources and thinking about which sources you can trust.
No, that's the thing. Most people don't and have never learned it, and they have really fucking bad intuitions about it. Really fucking bad. It sucks. I've seen it up front. It sucks.
Their intuitions are like opposite. I mean,
they are. And this person is barraging me with facts and dates, information, and sources. And so therefore they must be roughly trustworthy, or at least 90% of them must be roughly trustworthy. So therefore I'm good with giving them the benefit of the doubt. That's the train of thought.
Their vibes were good, so.
Their vibes. But I think the barrage technique is specifically used and useful and effective. And people just get a lot of stuff. This person must be super knowledgeable. Clearly, they've read so much. I'm the person, the amateur, but I'm seeing all of this facts and data. There must be something behind it.
Yeah, and also because the New York Times or my professors or the U.S. government are not as flawless as I was led to believe. Only the opposite of them is to be trusted.
Oh, sure, yeah,
that's without.
That's taking a great point and letting. Contrarianism is that eternal thing, whatever the subject. If it's in this, it's still letting the majority or the consensus or the status quo define your belief by just believing the opposite. It's not actually anything, innovative or rebellious.
And I do think that has gotten worse. I think the Trump era made everyone worse at that.
Yeah.
And I was discussing with my friend, who is she and I are rare breeds, where we feel like we don't believe anything in the sense that we're overly careful in the face of people going out of their minds. Now, they distrust things, but when they find their story and they stick to it and that sort of the source is irrelevant, apparently we're just picking the story that sounds the most convincing to us, regaled by the person that we like their delivery the best. So,
yeah, that's what I do.
I'm verbally subtweeting some of my loved ones right now. They'll never watch this.
Yeah, I was doing that too, so that's fine. Great purpose of our show.
Stuff happened. The Holocaust was one of the most documented. The Nazis destroyed some of that, but they were laughably bureaucratic.
I
Furthermore,
need to get my charger.
people like Dwight Eisenhower were like, "Hey,
my computer's gonna die."
This. No. That's the last I ever saw of Cory. R.I.P. in peace.
Sorry to interrupt on your rant.
I don't know if I should stop that when that happens or not.
Yes, the Holocaust is incredibly documented, but it almost is double-edged sword, because then there's so many documents to mine and to dig for discrepancies and minor errors or later adjustments. It's almost like that again, that feeds into the conspiratorial mindset. And of course they would want some massive cover-up to be like extensively documented.
Yeah. Which also falls into the fact that people who don't trust not metadata, but like if there's the sheer number of documentation of something, if a bunch of people are saying something, you got to look into it extra,
Mm-hmm.
Say if there's a vaccine that a bunch of people take and the vast majority of medical doctors and dentists take, it might be okay, even if you find an MD who's like, oh no, 5G gate's gonna get you.
Yeah.
But my favorite fun Holocaust denial fact is, I wish I remembered the dude's name. It was some middling war criminal fella who was told about early Holocaust denial, because it started early, unfortunately. And his response, he was really baffled, because he was like, I was there. Like, I did it. Like, it definitely happened.
Wow. Yeah. Well, paid actor, obviously.
Oh, my God.
That person's name? Timothy Chalamet.
No,
an actor. An actor. Are you saying Hitler also was a paid actor?
Adolf
Hitler's name? Timothy
Every
Chalamet.
fake anecdote involves Hitler or Einstein, though the latter fled from the former, so that's weird. And every quote is by Marilyn Monroe, Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, Lincoln. Jesus gets a lot.
Einstein, again.
Maybe I see more of them, but like Plato and Aristotle, because I see so many fake quotes.
In your circles, your upper crust.
Sure,
circles.
But even in general.
That's true. I've heard of this philosophy.
Like everyone's heard of Plato. Like everyone's heard of those people.
I was trying to remind my family at Christmas. I was like, which philosopher like lived in a barrel? And they were like, what? I was like, is it Dionysus? No, that's a god. What's his? And they
Diogenes.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Yeah. Yep. That one's a little more obscure, yeah. But I think most people
have just got there. He lived in like a pipe, not a barrel, but like.
I feel like it's always a barrel.
I don't know. Or like a jar. Like
he lived in a jar. I don't know. I wasn't there, and I'm a Diogenes denialist actually. But I feel like most people have just heard of Plato and Aristotle, even if they like don't know who they were exactly. Like obviously, like the name recognition is big. Like the brand, like Plato's brand and Aristotle's brand. The brand recognition is fantastic for them.
I'm just a little mad at Socrates for drinking that hemlock, though.
How dare he?
He should have been like, I'm out. Fucking Athens could suck it.
That would be interesting. You could write some interesting fan fiction. What if Socrates, like the What If Marvel show or comics, like what if Socrates left Athens?
And I do not know enough about ancient Greece or philosophy to know what might have occurred.
I don't know. You could get wacky with that.
You could get wacky.
You could get. What if Socrates discovered the Americas?
He did, but.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
I actually think as somebody who knows way more 20th and then 19th century history, ancient history cracks me up, because whenever I read something about someone It's like he was the third most important Greek historian, and we have a quarter of a page of like like ancient history.
Yeah.
Like, goddamn, we don't have shit.
It's super depressing to think about everything that's been lost. Unbelievably depressing.
When I get my time machine, man, I'm making a lot of stops.
Where do you go first?
First, I like go to a concert. I don't know which one, but like go see the Clash or something. Like you get to warm up.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Saving the Library of Alexandria or whatever we're doing later. We gotta work up to it.
I've heard recently that's overrated. We overrate the loss. Is that true?
I don't know. I don't know enough to at all to make even a guess, but I've heard that recently too. So
I would definitely, because I think all we have of Aristotle is lecture notes. We don't even have actual texts, merely lecture notes. That's unbelievable to be that influential with merely lecture notes.
Yeah, that's a neat trick. I don't think any.
That's a neat trick, Aristotle.
Our
you intentionally destroying all your works and dialogues, which apparently were really great. People like we have stuff where people described his dialogues as being great because he wrote them like Plato, but we don't have them. So getting that stuff would be like cool shit.
Or like I'd love to get some historical Jesus notes because.
That's a big one. That's a big one.
Most scholars think there was a nice young fella named Josh, which is such a non-Messiah name, Joshua, Jesus, who said some interesting things, but
oh sure,
there's not as much like concrete stuff as one would like. So
well, it's stuff both similar to Socrates. Neither really written anything down. So even time
really
traveling, we could bring a tape record, kind of do the old interview.
Oh yeah, definitely doing that. Well, I'm glad we figured all that out.
Look at the time.
But don't we have, not that was as depressing as most of the things we said, but do we have to end on a popular culture? Actually, Jesus is very popular. No? I'm trying to think.
He was very unpopular in his time, though.
True.
So a real devoted fan base, like a number of stands for Jesus, but mostly they were like, fuck this guy.
He's one of my favorite guys. I don't believe in a godly way,
Sure, yeah. Jesus was pretty all right.
There's some nice Sermon on the Mount stuff. Seems pretty nice. Seems pretty good.
Are you yawning? Must be time to wrap up.
I was just being really casual about it.
Really casual.
I don't know. Christmas.
Is there anything? Yeah. I celebrated Christmas on the topic of Christ and His birth.
Absolutely.
Well, I also celebrated Hanukkah, so not the Lord stuff isn't going to work. In fact, we have little blue and white stars of David on our tree, like wrapped around. So we got.
I saw a photo of your literally menorah.
Oh yeah, I like to call it a Hanukkah holder. That's what Shirley calls it on Community.
Call it something.
No, I like if anyone's seen Community, Shirley calls it a Hanukkah holder.
I have seen the first 3 seasons, and I should go back.
Oh, I love Community. Yeah, love it so much.
Hanukkah holder.
Yeah, it was fun.
I was legit gonna ask you, like, you had like stripy, colorful candles, and I was like, is that like a thing, or is that just the candles?
Oh well, no. You can just do whatever candles you want. Those are actually some birthday candles that we bought at Publix. Yeah. I
saw some other photo of someone's menorah, and it also had really bright ones. I was like, is that something I missed? Like, are the candles?
No, you can do custom. You could do, and then some people just do the oil like it was originally.
Yeah, I'm vaguely aware of.
But that's, I think, a mess. I don't know. Haven't done it.
Modern people can't really. It takes a little more work.
With our decadent lifestyles.
Our pre-made candles.
Literally birthday candles.
It's the birthday of Judaism. No, it's not. That's the birthday.
That's a good note to end on. That's a good note to end on. It's also starting to rain, which could be a cryptic sign from our Lord
that it's time to wrap it up.
Do you think it's weird that the light, like, is it halo-like?
Right now it is, yeah. We got.
I was weird. I didn't intend to sit directly under the light, but that's how it all lined up. So I was
You've been blessed. by Socrates,
The man upstairs.
Jesus, everybody. Gosh, okay.
Well,
Once
what have
again,
you eaten any good pop culture stuff lately, or?
I thought I had I always have something, but I guess I got a Switch for Christmas, so I'm trying to figure out which Switch games to go for. But that's about it.
Oh, I thought you said you became a Switch for Christmas. I was like, this is taking the podcast in a whole different territory. But I haven't played video games in 50 years.
Really?
So I'm a
You
little
played
behind.
Pong when you were
No,
-40. Pong?
I play Mario Kart. Mario Kart still fucking rules.
It does. Thank you for acknowledging.
I'll never get old enough for too old for Mario Kart.
Agreed.
Well, what are you playing?
In the spirit of me never being on like, I was playing Animal Crossing, which was very 2020. Then I was playing Pokemon Go on my phone, which is very 2016. My entire lot in life is to never be timely or on trend.
No, that's fun. I like being like, like this pop culture event. I'm learning about it 5 years after the fact. Like, I think that's fun. I love to be left out of things and like generally disregarded by society.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's just what happens, even when I don't really think about it. So
Well, if it helps you, I've never played Animal Crossing or Pokemon Go. I played Pokemon video games like 20 years ago, which were fun as shit, and I kind of miss them.
Your favorite Pokemon?
My favorite Pokemon is Snorlax.
Me too.
Really?
Yeah.
Why am I not surprised by this? Why am I not surprised that we're both huge Snorlax fans? I mean, it doesn't get better than Snorlax. Are you kidding?
Snorlax is my favorite.
It's the best.
Beautiful. I love him so much.
I had a Snorlax in Pokemon Silver, and I nicknamed him Peaches.
That's weird. I like it.
Well, he ate peaches, at least in my mind.
Fair enough. Now I got a nice plush Snorlax for napping.
Oh,
sometimes.
That's definitely what it's good for.
Yeah,
because he's like an inspiration, kind of a Jesus of our time in some ways.
For napping, yeah.
For general wisdom, including the wisdom of napping, and being lazy and lying in roads blocking people's way.
Oh, that was the best. I watched a clip of like the cartoon where he's like blocking an entire river.
Yeah.
I just like being this age because when I was a teen, I was like, I like boomer man things like the History Channel. And I would watch something like Pokemon and be like, I can't take this seriously. And I still like boomer man things like, well, the History Channel, like, well, that's not real anymore, but, documentaries. But I'm also fully committed now to loving, like, cartoons more and stuff, so.
Like, you're missing the boat. I mean, cartoons rule.
They do. We've discussed that.
Cartoons are where it's at.
This is factual. But, silly things like Snorlax that I kind of missed out
Things
on.
Like, it took you a few decades, but you finally come around to appreciating Snorlax.
I have, exactly.
Well, I'm happy for you. You're finally catching up to where the rest of us as a society were 20 years ago when we all sing the praises of Snorlax on our rooftops.
True. Why isn't he in, like, Smash Brothers? Because I would always be Pikachu in that.
He's probably too good. He's probably too good. Who's going to beat Snorlax?
No one. No one at all.
Did you have one in Pokemon Go? Because he was hard to find, I heard. I asked my friend.
I was very excited when I got one.
Oh, shit. You did?
Yeah.
Awesome. Good for you.
But then, like, when one had a hat, and then like, he escaped, and I was devastated. Sometimes I think about the Simpsons. They're like like there's like a version where he has a hat or some like variation. Sometimes I think about the Simpsons episode about the Malibu Stacy doll, and Lisa designs like a Malibu Stacy doll, and at the end, it like her feminist doll is undermined by the fact that there's a new Malibu Stacy, but this time she has a hat on. So all the people who were going to buy Lisa's doll were like, "Oh, but she has a new hat." And when I'm like, "Oh, I wanted the Snorlax with the hat," sometimes I think about that, and I'm like, I am guilty of this crime, but he had a hat.
Yeah, you need the feminist Snorlax. Where's the feminist Snorlax when we need him?
I think
we need like a
small. I'm pretty sure.
That's a fantastic like Twitter handle.
Can there be a pull quote somewhere?
I mean X. Yeah, no, it's just feminist Snorlax. That's like your blog. We're renaming the show. Anti-Power Hour with Feminist Snorlax and Cory.
Also,
God,
though,
is anyone listening to this?
No. Also, I highly recommend Darumaka, who is a fat, crazed Pokemon, and he's very good as well.
Is this like a new Pokemon?
He's from later years, I think, but he's
They
fat.
made past the original 151.
Yeah,
that was their first.
He's a good
that
Pokemon.
was a mistake, I think. But aren't there like 1,000 now?
Probably. I do think it's bittersweet that almost all Pokemon become uglier and crankier when they evolve, just like humans.
Just like humans. Pokemon become more small C conservative as they get older, I'm sure.
No.
Those legendary Pokemon are like fascists.
Oh no.
I mean, Mewtwo kind of was.
Was he?
Yeah, he was like, I'm gonna have my pure cloned Pokemon species, and we're gonna fucking kill you, natural, organic Pokemon.
Gosh. Well, that
in the first movie.
I was too cool for Pokemon.
Are you still? It's like 20 years old. It's okay for you to enjoy it now. Its moment has passed in the general zeitgeist, and it's now time for it to move into Lucy's zeitgeist.
I don't know if I'll be watching the 52,000 hours of Pokemon cartoon now necessarily, but
I haven't seen
clips of the funniest Pokemon.
I haven't seen a small fraction of the entire Pokemon canon, but I couldn't more strongly recommend the first movie, like the original movie that they made. It fucking rules.
Fair enough.
Let's do a live viewing for Anti-Power Hour.
We really should.
That movie makes me cry. It's so sad.
Really?
There's a really sad moment at the end. I can't spoil anything.
Fair enough. You've piqued my interest.
I cry kind of easily though at movies and just in general.
I do not.
That's probably my tears that you're drinking to bring it all the way. Cory's tears.
Well, your tears are very caffeinating, and I couldn't have gotten through this podcast without your tears.
I'm not remotely surprised that my tears are basically just the equivalent of coffee. It's not surprising to me at all. And I'm glad that they can propel you and power you through this terrible experience.
Once again, we started off weird, we hit a fevered middle, and we petered out into pure insanity at the end. That's really, we
that's our formula.
Have a format. We have a literal format. That's what it is.
And we're following a script and a strict structure.
Yes, all of this is written down right here.
I haven't said anything that our writers didn't come up with. It's props to our writers. Shout out to our writers. They're the ones that make us smart and funny. And I have no personality without my writers. Everything I say is from the mouth of the writers.
That's very true.
Capital T.
They were on strike for those 2 months, which is why we didn't have a show.
That's true. Sorry, guys. We couldn't. we had nothing to read. I mean,
we get it raised. It's only fair.
Now we have AI writing our scripts. If you notice a decline in the quality of our show, it's because it's written by AI now, and we are also being depicted by AI. This isn't me. This isn't right. It's just gotten that good. Yeah. We have to wrap up this episode
before we die.
Well, that would be nice.
Our watchers call their internet company and beg to have their internet disconnected so that this stops.
Wow, that would be impressive. I would take some pride in that.
I mean, I had a lot of fun, and I woke up thanks to the combination of Cory, tears, and thinking about terrible things. And
I had a lot of fun too. I mean, the Holocaust was a big one. I mean, what else did we talk about?
Mel Brooks is that fun, and that's still pretty.
Honestly, my favorite comedies are Holocaust comedies.
How many are there?
There's at least 3. There's the producers obviously counts as well, even though it's just about Hitler. But Jojo Rabbit is a comedy, and Charlie Chaplin's The Great Dictator, where he gets mixed.
Oh yeah, shit! I've been meaning to see that.
I love it. I love it so much. It's so good.
Yeah.
And he gets confused. Chaplin famously had the same mustache, so he gets confused in the movie with Hitler, or with their equivalent of Hitler.
It takes a better cartoonist than I am to make a drawing, and you could tell that it was either Hitler or Chaplin. There's if I was trying to do it, I'd be like, oh shit, which one is it?
And then there's the 90s movie Life is Beautiful, which
I have seen that, and
oh,
I
okay.
have to go back and check to see if I hate it or not.
Well, yeah, I mean, these can be hit or miss for people. I mean, the genre Holocaust comedy is fairly fraught, but I think it's really interesting. I think it's a great exercise in an illustration of comedy's role psychologically and emotionally, and I think if done interestingly and well, yeah, I really enjoyed all those movies I just mentioned. So, but not everyone does.
Nothing is off limits in the attempt. It's just the stakes are higher if you fail at your Holocaust comedy.
That's true. That's true. The stakes are higher. That's a good way to put it.
I have heard that, and I guess this is not a comedy on purpose, but Jerry Lewis's famous "The Day the Clown Cried" was supposedly.
I don't even know what that is.
Oh my god. It's a famously terrible movie that is actually about a clown in the Holocaust leading children to their death, sort of.
Oh no.
And it was never released. Certain celebrities have seen it secretly. It's like
it's like not a publicly available.
It's a cult film that's supposed to be so misguided, so awkward, so terrible that it's like it's a legend.
Wow. Well, as a connoisseur of Holocaust comedies, I'm so fascinated and intrigued, and I really want to find out how to watch it. I'll call up Jerry Lewis and I'll ask him.
You have to call, like, for some reason Harry Shearer has seen it, and there was like some talk of it being aired like in Virginia, and I saw people being like, "Oh shit, we gotta go." I don't know.
That's wild. I've never heard of that. Well, you learn something new every episode of Anti-Power Hour, my friends. One thing an episode, no more,
no less.
Just a single thing.
Sometimes we make you forget, like, to unlearn things as well, though.
Yeah, you have to forget 10 things to learn one thing on our show. And on that note, maybe we should
oh my god,
not forget to wrap up the show and continue on with our own lives outside of the show.
My problem is that Cory is entertaining, so I need to get...
My problem is Feminist Snorlax is also entertaining, so we could go on forever. I don't know if our fans are
dead,
seething with hatred and dreams of violence towards us. They might be.
God knows if the behind-the-scenes non-Serviam people want to edit this more. I'm not going to say a damn thing, but I had a blast. Internet people, follow Non Serviam on various platforms. Follow me on various platforms, including Blue Sky, which I'm trying to get Cory onto. Cory, should the people follow you?
Yeah, they can follow me if they want.
I think they should.
Yeah, you can follow me. I'll allow it.
We'll be back someday, and we'll be just as confused then. Goodbye.
Sayonara.